Hello, everybody. It's good to have everybody here again join us for our Space Hubs Africa webinar series. Thanks for joining in quite early. We have a very interesting topic today, and we're looking forward to a very insightful and very engaging webinar. So I just want to test that everything is okay from your end. Can everybody hear me clearly? Please just let me know by maybe sending a message on the group. Just send a message on the group if you can hear me clearly. Great. Thank you. Thank you, Deborah. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks for the feedback. Yeah, we have a few people joining us now. Thanks for coming, everybody. And we'll have more people join us, and we can start right on time. Okay. Today's webinar series, we are focusing on the topic leading space economies in the African space industry, Egypt in focus. Within this space community, it's been so interesting because a lot of people are like, oh, my country is leading as well, and my country is leading as well. And we also had a lot of people say they want to also know what's going on in Egypt. And it's a very interesting topic. It's more of a topic that it's within like the sector. If you're in the space sector, then you'll find this quite interesting as you want to know what's going on in Egypt and just maybe beyond your home, beyond maybe Ghana or Nigeria. I see some people join us from Nigeria. So just to know what's happening in another part of the continent with regards to space. And I think it's just a way for us to see that we have a broader and bigger platform when it comes to space in Africa. And it's a way for us to know what's going on, share ideas and learn from one another. And okay, I see more people joining us. Thank you for coming. Thanks for coming. Adeleke, I saw your comments on LinkedIn, and it's good to see that you joined us. Thanks, Jake, all the way from Ghana. I see some people from Egypt as well. Okay, this is a very, very multinational group that we are having right now. So hopefully we'll have more of our regulars join us as the meeting progresses. Just before we start, I'd like to talk a little bit about Space Ops Africa again, for those that may not be familiar with our webinar series or familiar with the company itself. We are a space consultancy company, and we were founded in 2020. Our vision is to create a platform for people interested in space, especially young people, to learn, to connect, and to build, as that is kind of like our mantra. We provide educational services in the industry. We provide, policy and startup, services as well. The last New Space Horizon conference that held in Egypt, hosted by the Egyptian Space Agency, we were one of the partners. So we like to also share our voice in the ongoing program when it comes to space in Africa. How can young people, how can companies, how can we ensure that space is actually used for good and for the benefit of Africa? So our efforts are geared towards, building this ecosystem for the space sector and for space professionals to connect. Right away, I'll talk a little bit about today's session and today's speaker. And the aim of this session is actually to discuss Egypt's role in fostering, African partnerships and collaborations within the space industry. As we all know, or as we may know, for those of you that are familiar with the industry, Egypt is hosting the African Space Agency, and that is going to be a continent-wide organization and institution that is going to cater for, Africa's space program as outlined by Agenda 2063, the Africa we want. So the Africa we want is the Africans Union blueprint, like we know, for a better and a better Africa. And the African Outer Space Program is one of the flagship projects that have been identified by the African Union to be able to accomplish and for us to see the Africa we want coming to fruition. And this is where space comes in. And that is why the African Space Agency is so important. And since Egypt is hosting the African Space Agency, and we know that they are working with other spacefaring nations in the continent, but that places them at the forefront and at the forelight of, AFSA's success as well. And that is why we're having this discussion today. So it's not entirely about AFSA as well, but to see Egypt's space journey so far, what made them, like a reputable host to host the African Space Agency, discuss some of the research and advancement that have been done. And also, our speaker is an expert in the industry. And since so many of you in the audience are young people and young professionals, I'm sure you would like to hear from him and learn one or two about the industry. So I'm going to quickly discuss our speaker's profile, and then he'll take over from here. Okay, just a second. Okay, so our speaker, Dr. Ayman Ahmed. Can everybody hear me clearly? Just making sure. It's in the chat. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Our speaker, Dr. Ayman Ahmed, holds the position of Senior Director at the Egyptian Space Agency, overseeing space missions and projects on system engineering, and specializes in nano and microsatellite system. Where he has done his PhD research on in space engineering. He also has an MBA in global management. So he specialized in advanced emerging systems and machine learning applications. He established the annual African training program in Egypt and coordinated international projects such as CleanClam in collaboration with Kenya and Uganda under UNUSA. The UNUSA's Access to Space for All initiative. I think some of us are quite, very familiar with Access to Space for All initiative. It's been very, very fruitful in the last few years. And also, he also has been a part of the Lunar HCAM hyperspectral lunar camera developed with Bahrain for integration into the Chang E7 Chinese missions. These are very technical terms, pardon me. Previously, he served as a member of the African Space Working Group responsible to develop the African space policy and strategy under the African Union from 2013 to 2017. Additionally, he contributes as a member of the Industrial Advisory Board at Coventry University. Dr. Ayman's contributions include a patent aimed at enhancing the performance of electronic systems in space environments, as well as more than 50 research papers published in international conferences and journals focused on space technology, satellites, and artificial intelligence. Oh, wow, that is quite a profile. Ladies and gentlemen, you can just, by show of emojis and features we have on Zoom, just please help me welcome Dr. Ayman. Quite a brilliant profile, and we are just so happy to have him come discuss with us today about the Egypt advancement in the African space industry. So I'm going to stop sharing right now, and I'm going to hand over to Dr. Ayman, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Nelly, for the great introduction. First of all, you hear me well?
Yes.
Okay, thank you for the great introduction.
Yeah,
thank you so much for this. I'm quite happy to be here today with you. Honor for me to have this webinar to share my experience, my knowledge, and is are doing in the Egyptian space. So I think you did a great job to introduce myself to the attendees. So I will start the webinar by having some sort of introduction about the Egyptian agency, what we are doing, what's our recent projects research. So you see my screen now?
Yes, I can see your screen clearly, yes.
As the Egyptian Space Agency is established 2019, and the head of the agency is Dr. Sharif and there is a board of directors who is the Prime Minister of Egypt, and we have the Supreme Council of the agency headed by the President of Egypt, His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi. So we can notice that the agency itself has a very high level representation in the presidency of Egypt and the administrative ministers and entities in Egypt. We have many strategic pillars to work with, as the agency is still relatively young agency. We are focusing on capacity building to localize the space technology development in Egypt. Also, we work on the sustainable development goals to achieve a lot of objectives related to the Egyptian Vision 2030. And we have, of course, the international collaboration with many African and Arab countries in the region. And finally, we have the community engagement, which relates the application of technology and its applications to the community and the users. The agency itself is located in the New Cairo. As you can see here, the buildings, the location, which includes the administrative buildings, the ground station. Here you can see also the Space Academy, and followed by this, the headquarters of the Egyptian Space Agency. In the background here, you can see the AIT facility, which is assembly, integration, and testing facility. It is like a small factory for producing satellites. And finally, we have at the end of the space city, we have the African Space Agency headquarters, as you can see, to the most left side of the Pacific. This is the Assembly, Integration, and Test Center we have in Egypt. The center itself has a lot of facilities, like the large assembly hall, which can accommodate satellites up to 600 kilograms. We have the payload related to the testing of the cameras. We have the electromagnetic compatibility chamber to test the compatibility between the electromagnetic waves from the satellite. We have the thermal vacuum chamber as well, and also handle satellites up to 600 kilograms. We have the solar array development and testing and deployment facility. We have the vibration testing, which is a shaker to simulate the environment of launching satellite from the rocket. Also in the Egyptian Space Agency, we have some labs related to the development, like the optoelectronic labs, satellite communication, space electronics, solar cells. We have also space dynamics lab, one of the most recent laboratories in the agency. We have other facilities related to the testing and the integration of a satellite subsystem. We have the ground station located in the agency itself. It is S&X band for controlling satellites and receiving the data and images from the satellite. Egypt have started the journey of space exploration almost 20 years ago. We have our first satellite, EgyptSat-1, launched in 2007. And this project have been the milestone for establishment of the Egyptian space program. During this project, EgyptSat-1 have been trained with satellites, collaboration with Ukraine, followed by EgyptSat-2 2014, and then MaSRSat-2 last year, and NextSat this year. This satellite provide us with a lot of images related to the sustainable development goals. You can see images for the sea, for the Mediterranean Sea, from the new capital, Egypt, for the airplanes, for the airplanes, and for the airports. On the other hand, we have satellite projects. We have launched our first CubeSat, North Cube 1, 2019. Followed by North Cube 2 in the same year from the International Space Station. And after this, we were working in X3, SpaceX, and FDFSat. These are projects related to nanotech development, capacity building, and technology demonstration. Meanwhile, we are building our capacity in Egypt. For students, we have developed the educational satellite kit. It is called a Space Key. This satellite kit is dedicated for students from university, from postgraduate as well. And this kit helps students to be acquainted with by satellite systems, what the satellite can operate and can acquire images, can change its attitude. So it is also equipped with some sort of software for students to develop their own software code. They can deploy the software of the satellite and they can test this with satellite. Egypt also has the capacity building space educational portal. This portal is a website where you can go to this website, take some courses related to space systems, specifications, and also can have some sort of certification for getting these courses. We are focusing on the space awareness for students. We provide students in Egypt with workshops related to space technology and applications. And here in the Egyptian Space, as you can see some photos for students, we rely on the Space Key platform, the educational kit. We rely also on the CANSAT, which is very tiny and small satellite, dedicated for educational purposes. Also, these kits are very good for STEM students to demonstrate and to explain the behavior of satellites in orbit. Of course, we host the African Space Agency. This African Space Agency itself have been studied for a while. We have been working with the space policy and strategy since 2013. And during this time, we have got the approval for the African space policy and African space strategy 2016, 2017, and 2019 to 2018. We have been selected to host the headquarters of the African Space Agency. And the agency itself is going to be activated by the end of this year and maximum by the beginning of next year, 2020. We have a lot of collaboration projects with African countries. We have initiated the African Development Supply Project. This project is to collaborate with Kenya, Uganda, Nigeria, Ghana, and of course we have a team. Each team is dedicated for some specific satellite subsystem to develop. For example, you can see that Kenya is responsible for the power system, Uganda for the onboard computer, software and hardware, Nigeria for the attitude determination, Ghana for communication systems, Egypt for the system level design and the build. We are expecting to finish this project by the next year during the collaboration between these 5 countries. The final integration of this project will be in our AIT facility before launching the satellite to orbit. Also, we have the ClaimCam project, which is a strong collaboration between Egypt, Kenya, and Uganda. We won an opportunity to place a camera on board the International Space Station. And this opportunity is provided to us by UNOSA, United Nations, in collaboration with Airbus. And we are going to manufacture the camera itself. We have already finished the engineering model of the camera. And you can see in the pictures here, during the manufacturing process and integration and testing process of the engineering model here in the Egyptian Space Agency by the team composed from Space Agency of Kenya, Egypt, and Uganda. We are expecting to finalize this project by the 2025. Also, the Egyptian Space Agency provides the African Training Program. The African Training Program is dedicated for engineers, students from African countries to come to Egypt to spend around 2 weeks in the Egyptian Space Agency, where they learn more about space systems, space applications, and of course, we provide them with hands-on training for satellite systems and its applications during these 2 weeks. The African Training Program provides scholarships, the grants, to attend free of charge Also, we provide flight tickets, provide accommodation. Each year, we provide this for around 20 engineers, specialists from Africa. Yet, we have provided 53 trainees from around 24 African countries with this hands-on training. And we are proud that this program is continuous, and next round will be in January 2024, 2025, next year. Also, we will have training provided by both English and the French version for the next time in this training. Also, we have a strong collaboration with Arab countries. Egypt have been selected to the presidency of the Arab Space Collaboration Group since November 2023. And within this scope, we are collaborating with Bahrain for a joint team. We are building a camera also. This camera will be mounted on the lunar mission. This lunar mission is supported by China Space Agency, and we are expecting to have this launch 2026. As you can see here, this is the last training and capacity building and space awareness campaign we have conducted with students from Egypt, schools, universities, provide them with space applications and technology. Thank you for listening, and I'm ready to have the question.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ayman. That was a very wonderful one, very, very holistic. And I saw very interesting points that would be very beneficial for some of the young professionals and students on the call. Yes, Aya, please, you are free to ask your question. You can send a message to the group chat, or you can raise your hands if you want to speak. If you want to ask a question, you can raise your hands, whichever is convenient for you. Thank you. So yes, this is a time for interaction and engagement. We've had a very wonderful presentation, and if any of you have questions, just general housekeeping, you can politely maybe send a message or raise your hands, and then we are going to call you to ask your questions, and it's going to be on the basis of who asks first. So while we are waiting for feedback on that, Dr. Ayman, if you could please just talk a little bit about the Clim Clam project, because it's quite interesting to see that we're having regional collaboration on space within the continent. Sometimes the traditional model that we used to know is, African countries partnering with other spacefaring nations outside of the continent, maybe in Europe, China, and this is really great to see that within the continent we are doing some in-house work. What do you think about regional cooperation in the coming years in Africa, and how does this not probably affect or improve the work of AFSA? I think for
yes, I understand your question. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Of course, yes. We feel that we are the host of the African Space Agency. We have some sort of responsibility toward our brothers from Africa, to provide them and to share the knowledge, experience, and infrastructure we have in the agency. 2020, there was this announcement from United Nations Office of Affairs, Space Access Control, and we have during this time we have been joint forces with Kenya and Uganda to consolidate a joint team actually, to introduce a proposal from our side. This proposal aims to develop this camera, and this camera is unique from some sort of technology, because this camera will have the AI, artificial intelligence algorithm, which based on the machine learning to identify the effect of climate change in East Africa. Okay. So we have the track of the ISS is very frequent, very low, very low Earth orbit. It means around 400 kilograms, relatively lower than satellites. So we can have a big advantage from developing this one, because instead of you can develop the whole satellite and then you can search for launcher and then for operation. the International Space Station can provide you with this ability and this opportunity to launch this camera on board the International Space Station. We understand this challenging, big challenging, because we have to comply with a lot of technical requirements coming from the International Space Station. The International Space Station is not a satellite; it is a human facility. So you have to be very careful when you are developing your device, whatever the device. You have to comply strictly with the electrical and mechanical and all the interfaces and the constraints required to the international. So 2023, we started, it was in March 2023, we started the joint work with the joint team from Kenya and Uganda here in the Egyptian Agency. And during 9 months, we have been able to develop the camera, the engineering model of the camera, and we have integrated and make the first testing of the camera to acquire images in the lab. And the team demonstrated a very high level of competency.
Okay.
Yes, and we have been able from the first time, which is not usual, to have the operation of the camera from the first time of the testing. And now we are waiting for the updates. Have different modification of the interfaces to fully comply with the testing phase with the simulation of the International Space Station. And this project demonstrates that some African countries can work together in joint forces. We can even share the knowledge, share the ideas, which is very important because you know, when you collaborate with someone, you exchange ideas. You have some problem, you can think, but when you think together, especially when we are different countries, you have different thoughts, you have a lot of ideas. We share these ideas together. We can together, of course, provide a very skillful design, and the challenges can be overcome the very clever way. So I think that the project demonstrated the capability of the African minds to do something is very capable of having high niche technology.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Ayman. We have some engagement on the chat already. We have a question from Eyare, and we have a question from Dr. Lisa. For everyone that's here, please feel free to send your questions via text, like I said, or you could just raise your hands and unmute yourself and you can ask your questions. So I'm quickly going to take the first question. It's about postgraduate opportunities for non-STEM students. Because some of us, like ARA says, some of us didn't study engineering. Is there any hope or opportunity for us in this African space program? I think I share the same sentiment because I have a non-technical background in the industry studying law. And when we see programs like the African Training Program, which you just shared, it looks really good, just coming together, learning, having hands-on. But those are like for people with a lot of technical background, which
yes. I understand your point. Of course, I usually have these sort of questions very frequent. But usually I answer this question by saying that the space is the new life. So all disciplines can be engaged in the space. We can see not only engineering, but also science, not only science, but also disciplines related to the construction, to the lifestyle. If you are thinking, what is the future, near future, not far future, is the life on the other planets. There is now the thoughts about having the colony in the lunar surface. And this will involve a new lifestyle, how the astronauts will live there. And a lot of researchers already started to think about what is the type of clothes they are going to do, what is the foods.
Fashion. Wow.
So it is a lifestyle, it's a complete lifestyle. So all disciplines in the lifestyle will be involved in this, not only the engineering, not only the scientists, but also every type of the civilian, for example, the civil construction, the poetry, the textile, the medicine, everything will be involved in this new lifestyle. So I think this space is the new upcoming and very short-term lifestyle for this.
Thank you. Thank you
Yeah.
so much, Dr. Ayman. I think that directly relates to the second question here by um, Dr. Lisa, where he said he wants to know about the involvement of medical professionals in the training programs earlier mentioned, and whether we have any space program on human space flight in terms of research, whether analog or designing manufacture of life support systems by astronauts. But in the sum, I think Dr. Ayman, the question is in the chat.
This is a good question. This is a good question. This is a
Yeah,
good question. You
about
know, yeah.
yeah.
So let me start first about the Egyptian Space Agency. We provide here the training courses for each year for around 20 specialists from Africa. But the training course itself is evolving. So we started, I think I remember that the first one was focused on the satellite subsystems and satellite
Yeah.
technology. Then
Yeah.
we expanded our training to involve more about the challenges, the sustainable development goals, the applications. And I think the recent one involved some sort of space economies and study for space economies and the future space economy. So our training is evolving year by year. So I expect
Okay.
that more disciplines will be covered soon. Of course, on the other hand, we have a lot
Mm.
the mission of the African Space Agency. Because the African Space Agency should have wider scope of work and should involve all disciplines of the space. As a national space agency, we are committed to the sustainable development goal of Egypt because we have to serve the national
Yeah.
needs from our side. Also, we are focusing on the future technologies like the lunar technologies, the deep space exploration. So I think these disciplines are evolving step by step, year by year, and I believe that in the near future you can find a lot of opportunities in this because you know the analog missions, for example, is focused on the isolation in specific and analog environment related to the lunar, for example, or to the Mars environment. So these all are evolving step by step, and in the near future we will find a lot of these opportunities not only in Africa but worldwide.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you for that beacon of hope for those of us from maybe medical law policy backgrounds that are looking forward to these trainings. And we hope that these trainings will kind of like also influence how the African Space Agency is run in terms of capacity building to make it very inclusive for people with non maybe scientific or engineering background. And yes, Dara is also asking about postgraduate opportunities with first degree in engineering. If there are opportunities like that to do like maybe postgraduate courses with regards to space in Egypt.
In Egypt, we have the dedication of the posts for the Egyptian Space Agency are limited to the Egyptian nationalities only. We provide the training, short-term training with collaboration with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs for the African countries. And this short-term training is not a position, like the scholarship to study for 2 weeks.
Okay.
Yes, and this is open for all African nations, nationalities to apply for this. And I think by first week of October, we will have the announcement about this program. So will feel free to apply.
Okay.
Each year, yes, each year we have increasing number of application. I remember last year we had around 350 applicants.
Wow.
Yeah. Yes, so we are trying to secure the fund related to support more
Yeah.
applicants year to year. So I believe this year will be also having some opportunities related to the Franco, Anglo-Franco and Franco-speaking nations in Africa. We provide also the French translation for the courses itself. So I wish to increase this number of applicants,
Yeah.
of course, year by year.
Yes, yes, absolutely. I'm sure some of the people in our audience might make up the next, next application sets for
Yes.
2025. Yes, we are really looking forward. I don't know if anybody in the audience have any question, any concerns. Feel free to send a message or raise your hands as we are, kind of like wrapping up the conversation. So, Dr. Ayman, I want to also ask you something a bit non-technical, but I'm sure your insights will be very helpful, especially considering the young audience we have here. Can you share an exciting or unexpected moment from your career in space that was really like inspiring for you? And what advice would you give to young people that are working currently in the space sector or want to join the space sector?
Sure.
Yeah.
One of the most exciting experience I have acquired during our first development of the nano satellite we have launched in 2019
Okay.
is the amount of challenges we have during the project itself. So we had a lot of challenges related to the fund, related to the technical issues, related to the human resources. But the issue is that whenever you focus on something, whenever you would like to have this success, and you can see this success in the near future, you'll be able to achieve. Even the huge challenges you can face during this project, to believe in yourself and believe you are able to achieve this. Certainly, definitely 100% you will be able to survive and never surrender for any challenges, for any problems. Because when you take over something and you're able to solve the problem and to overcome a challenge, you have more confidence, you have more experience. So you go to the next one. So you once you do this for the next, you go to the third. And you can find yourself able to solve problems and overcome challenges you never thought that you will be able to overcome. So this is the life, especially in space. When you solve something, you will face another something. So it's about the perseverance to be able to survive challenges and to believe in yourself that you will be able to survive the problems and the circumstances that can make you fail. So I think the failure is not the end of the world. The failure is the new beginning. Yes.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Dr. Iman. I see a hand up. Blessing Oluwatosin. Please feel free to unmute yourself and ask your question, please. Thank you.
Hello, good afternoon. Oh, good morning. Thank you so much for your presentation. I just have a question about the challenges with the funding, the situation for the projects that are running at the moment. Is it government funded, or how do you convince the stakeholders that this is an important and useful project that would benefit the Africans in the long run? Yeah.
Okay, a good question. Okay, if you speaking about securing some sort of fund and convincing the government or the funding agencies that this activity is good, you have to have third party. Third party usually gives some sort of confidence that you are not alone in this project. You are not alone in this idea. And of course, if you have partners, gives you a lot of credibility. You're more fun. It's not like having a fund for yourself, it's having a fund for consortium. And usually the teams working in some idea is more confident itself, and for the other provide some sort of. So this is the first one, is to have a joint forces between many entities and third parties, especially when you have something from outside. It gives you a lot of credibility to ask for funds. This is the first one. Second one, if you are working with idea that is not not so new, and you can prove the feasibility of this idea, and you can also prove that you are able to provide a solution for this idea. I'm confident that you will give a good reason for the funding agency to give you the fund. But the history of your work is the main proof of the ability of yourself to do this project or to do this objective or to do this solution based on your justification for the funding agency. So there is a lot of ways to secure a fund, but the most important is to get the confidence that you are able to achieve the objective.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Iman, and thank you, Blessing, for that very insightful question. That's a very good question, because sometimes there's so much to do, but how to, convince the major stakeholders that this is important and we need the money. It's sometimes a challenge, and thanks, Dr. Iman, for pointing that out. I don't know if there's any other question in the audience. Okay, I'm just going to quickly check. Okay. Okay, I see a hand up. Okay, Timothy. Yeah, thank you. Please feel free to mute yourself and ask your question or send a message, whichever works for you. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone.
It's afternoon where Dr. Iman is. But
okay, no problem. Okay. Yeah, you are I'm hearing. Please continue.
Yeah, go ahead, please. Go ahead. I think we lost him. Hello, Timothy, are you there? I'm just going to check.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay, sorry about that. Thank you, Doctor, for the wonderful presentation. I just want to ask a very quick question. Is the African Space Agency going to employ other personnel from other countries of Africa, or they'll be focusing on Egyptian citizens, especially for this early part, say the first year? Are they focusing majorly on Egypt, or they'll be bringing in people from other parts of Africa?
The African Union is the responsible party about the African Agency. So the hiring and the employment of the African Space Agency staff is going to be from all the African countries, not from the Egypt. We are only hosting the headquarters, but the operation of the agency itself is managed by the African Union Commission, and I believe that the African Union Commission will hire not from other African countries.
Yeah, insightful. Yeah, that's a good one. Thank you so much, Dr. Amen. And thank you, Timothy, for that question. I don't know if there are any other questions on the group, if anybody has any other concerns as we okay, I think there's one from Ricardo. It's in the chat, and okay, he's given a contribution on how to convince stakeholders. He said one way to convince stakeholders for investment is to prove that space-related projects is aligned to priorities set by the government in their own national roadmap and frameworks. And this is what we are exactly going through in the case of Cambodia, not an African country, but a country that, like many other in the African continent, is relatively new to space projects. Thank you so much, Mr. Ricardo, for that contribution, to see that some of the challenges we have are shared across different emerging space countries in different parts of the world as well. Thank you for that contribution. And so in the absence of any other question,
I have one note which is related to the securing the fund and support from the agency. So I noticed that there is a lot of questions and topics raised about this issue. So the fastest way is to go alone. If you would like to go, you can go alone, but you will go fast. But if you would like to, if you can't go alone, you have to go together with someone else, but you will have to go slowly. That's why if you really would like to secure the fund and support from the government or the funding agency, best way is to find a partner and to rely on the confidence of the partner. And in this way, because we have tried this in Egypt, you have to find the partner and you can get the support, indirect support from your partner to secure the fund from your agency or from your government. So I think once again, having some sort of joint forces and some sort of consortium, joint teams, something like this will provide you a lot of confidence to secure your fund.
So I had some technical issues on my end, but thank you so much, Dr. Ayman. I'm not sure if you were wrapping up the questions. I was.
I noticed that there is a comment related to the challenge for smaller countries.
Yeah.
This is specifically addressed to the smaller countries. I mean, for example, we are not going to ask the giant countries to join forces out to construct a consortium to get the support. This is exactly devoted for the small countries and small teams. Because small countries usually go together. If you are a small country and you want to go alone, mostly it will take a lot of time to raise the fund and get the convince for the funding agency or government. But when you go together with someone else or other teams, you usually get the conference with the support.
I think there's a follow-up question on the chat if having a space agency can help since I think ASEAN should be the acronym for the Asian Space Agency. I'm not sure on the chat. Yeah.
We work
Southeast Asian countries. Okay.
Yes, we worked without a space agency for around from 2002, 2019, without space agency. Southeast Asian countries. No, it's not a mandatory have an agency support, but Egypt we worked without an agency for around 20 years.
Wow.
To establish an agency. So, like I was saying, that for example, my first project was a very small project, but I built the heritage. After this, to get more fund, to get more support, I went to other agencies and construct a bigger team with more fund. So once you have a small step, you can achieve bigger step with others. If you still thinking that we have to have agency, we have to have a very easy fundraising process, it's not a challenge and it is not sustainable. So you have to think and you have to join force and you have to demonstrate that you are able to do this, and then definitely you will be able to succeed.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Ayman. Not sure there are any other hands up or questions in the chat. So that has been a good one, all the engagements. Thank you so much, everybody. We've had quite a very great engagement today, very holistic conversation covering these different aspects of the Egyptian space program and insights to how young people can also participate as well. And I'm sure we have covered everything that we wanted to set out to achieve today. So I want to especially appreciate Dr. Ayman for taking out the time this afternoon to discuss with us. And we look forward to all the work that Egypt is doing, or the leadership role being played, hosting AFSA and the African Training Project as well. It's quite great, and it's very exciting for me to see that more disciplines would be included. I'm sure Dr. Lisa is excited as well. So we'll look forward to the application rounds for next year. And who knows, you might be having 600 applications this time around, with more Africans and young Africans getting interested in space. So thank you so much for today. We sincerely appreciate, and thank you for our audience. So just a little bit of a background for our upcoming webinars next month. We are going to talk about why space boldly going beyond, and this time around we are going to be having a panel session of young Africans that are working or studying in the space industry. And the reason why we are bringing this topic up is because sometimes we have more naysayers telling us why space is not a very, very lucrative or a sector filled with opportunities in Africa, rather than we have people like Dr. Ayman telling us to go for it. So we are very, very happy and proud to have people like Dr. Ayman come speak to us like this. So we hear from young people next month, and they're going to say why they are working in the space sector, what has been their motivation and their challenges so far as well. So we are looking forward to that session. And if you are not part of our social media groups, please follow us on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and on Twitter as well. We'll send a webinar survey regularly, and you can let us know what you think about our webinar and how we can improve as well. I am going to send a WhatsApp group chat link to the call in about a minute or two, and you can join that link. We have just a group where we just share updates on just the webinar, no spam at all as well. So thank you so much, everybody, and we are looking forward to having you join our next session. Have a lovely day.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Okay. So. Mm-hmm.